Hey guys, welcome to the Harmon Farm. We take a quick little walk today and talk about some of the things I'm doing out here, and show you guys what it looks like. This is 60 acres, about 30 tillable in row crop, and then 30 acres of what's soon to be all deer habitat. This is third year of ownership out here. I started doing habitat work probably 2 years ago. I'll give you guys a little bit of a look into the morning sun. This is all ag fields out here. And we'll take our 2-track back. Show you guys a little bit of what the property looks like. So I took over this property 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago to the day, not quite, but my dad passed away and left it to me. It was about 30 acres of hayfield out here, and then the other 30 acres was pretty much cow pasture. A little bit of an area for the old boneyard, wood pile, brush pile. So there was almost no habitat for deer whatsoever up until just a few years ago. Like I said, it was hayfield and it was cow pasture, and that's pretty much it. And there was just nowhere left over for the deer. There wasn't even a little pocket somewhere where they could hide. It was just wide open hayfield, wide open cow pasture. So we're coming up here on the old cow pasture. Give you guys a good look at it. As you can see, it is just wide open. See across the entire thing. Go ahead and drop down here. Actually, let's loop back up and let's go through the woods. This is a little project I've been working on. Whether you want to call them little islands or mounds. This is just kind of a wet area down here, a little lower ground. I'm sure you've heard of fighting fire with fire. I fight water with water down here. And dig out this area right here and make permanent low ground, but then pile it up here, and these will settle. These mounds, this little strip right here, they're as you can see the dog walking through them, they're pretty shallow. I mean, and this water will dry up in the next couple of months. And these mounds here, so they're not even a year old. I think these were done a little less than a year ago. I'm kind of walk through them here, but the idea is down here, it's a little wet. I could probably get some wet ground clover to grow here, but it's a little wet for most things. So I went ahead and scratched these out and kind of looked around here with the intentions of just breaking the area up. And it's really done that. As you can see, the growth down here, this is by far the most cover that's been down in this area in a long time. This was just as wide open as what you're seeing out there. Just as wide open as all of that. I mean, it was cow pasture. I just came in here and I scratched around a little bit with a mini excavator and just kind of disturbed the soil, and you can see the growth. Just really took off in here. So I'm going to keep playing with this idea a little bit, keep fine-tuning things. I did have a little bit of deer bedding in here. Like I said, this is the only cover though out here really to speak of. Let's take a quick walk here. I'll show you what my woods looks like. This little piece of high ground in here in between the old cow pasture out here, all of this out here, everything on the inside of this fence. This high ground here, this was all hayfield, and I decided to chop this off from the ag fields out here and go ahead and just let this kind of grow up native. I think I did get a food plot in here 2 years ago, and then last year I just let it go. I just kind of let the native stuff grow up after I got the grasses out of here and stuff. I spread a little bit of switchgrass out here. Let's see if we can find some. Right here's a little bit. It seems to be doing okay, and these are little pockets that I did. You can see the switch here. You can see it there. So, little pockets of switchgrass around. And if I look, I mean, I can see there's a couple right here, 2 or 3 little sprigs of switchgrass sticking up. I'm sure if I look around I can find some more. Yeah, right here, another. I see 1, I see 2, 3. I just came in here, and this is, like I said, I had a brassica food plot in this whole area out here. I think it's about an acre, a little over an acre maybe. And I had a brassica plot out here 2 years ago, not last year but the year before, and then I just let it grow up. I came in on after that and threw and overseeded with a little bit of switchgrass out here, not much, kind of in pockets too. Another thing I did is I came out here and I would with my little seeder, and I would spin a circle or a semicircle and open the gate on my seeder when I did it to try to create a little U-shape or C-shape pattern with the switchgrass out here. And then I came back in, and that was just kind of randomly done over the whole thing. And then I came back in and just mowed some of these pockets out. And I think there's 4 pockets that I mowed out with the intentions of someday being some micro plots. I also intend to come out here and in between the plots and this stuff, you can see where I'm just letting it grow native. The plan is to go ahead and put some evergreens in here, go ahead and plant some miscanthus pockets in here, and just kind of break it up and diversify this piece of high ground back here. I'd really like to see some thermal cover on this farm, and I think this is a really good spot to do it. It's nice high ground, leads right out into the ag fields, you know, right here. I'm going to leave the ag out there for the foreseeable future. Let's go over here real quick. So, like I said, switchgrass, another one right there. I mean, they're just dotted around here. I didn't seed it real heavy. I wanted it to be quite light, and also there was you know, the native growth that it competed with, because I did nothing after I planted the brassicas. You know, I just let it go. So here you can see you got a little farm gravel pit going, but in this little top dirt mound that I pushed out over here, this is what I'm using as my miscanthus bank right now. As you can see, I got miscanthus all along this. I dug some up here the other day, but I got miscanthus all along this, and there's hundreds of them. And this was I just threw them in. I threw in what rhizomes I had left over from last year, and I mean, they just, you know, they really did good in this top dirt here. Oh Jesus. So yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, as you can see, there's a ton of miscanthus here. I mean, I have probably a couple hundred rhizomes just right here in this little bank to dig up, and these are splits that I did from last year on this miscanthus. I dug some up in a very similar mound, just like this, just not quite as big, and I only had one row of the miscanthus. You can even see, I mean, there's miscanthus, just all nice looking pockets of it all through here. I'm really happy with how it did, just sitting here in this mound. But anyways, yeah, this is just going to be my miscanthus cache out here that I'm just going to keep robbing from, and keep planting it around. But yeah, these were all from splits that I made last year, and these were just what I had left over. I didn't think there was this many, but they really did well. So really took off nice. I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting those dug up and planted all over here. Plan is to, just like I said, there's going to be pockets of them out in this stuff. They're just gonna start here and just work my way all the way across. Pockets of miscanthus, use it for screening. Now that I've got it, it's here. I can just keep on digging it up and splitting it. So yeah, let's talk about this guy for a quick minute. Alright guys, it's probably not very feasible for most of us to go buy one of these just to do habitat. But there's honestly, I don't think there's any kind of a machine that's going to do what this thing can do for you, even in one day. Even going and renting one for a single day and running it on your property, you got 8 hours to put on it. What this can do for you is, honest to God, I can do more in one day in this machine on this property than I could with hand tools in honestly years, and that's no joke. I mean, the amount of work that you can get done with one of these in a day, in a single day. You know, if you had a day, or if you had your list planned out of everything you wanted to do, you know, and we're just, you know, ready to rock and roll, bring one of these machines in. Even hiring someone, quite honestly, you're probably better off hiring someone that's been running one, if you know, unless you have experience. But you're probably better off just hiring someone to come in and do what you want to do. You know, get a plan in your head of what you want to do, and then you know, get somebody in to do it. You know, if you want to go at it yourself, you know, if you got the skills, hey, you know, all the power to you. You know, jump on it and, you know, hit it. But honestly, you're going to be able to do so much with something like this. And it's not just the digging ponds or the mounds out there. The amount of brush that I've moved, the amount of trees that I've moved, the amount of stumps that I've dug, it does so much more than just digging. I'll show you here. I've moved some treetops out into this open area, and I plan on moving many more treetops out into open areas to break them up. And yeah, you can do it with a tractor, a skid steer, or something. But this thing, it grabs them. You know, you can grab them so precisely. You're not breaking all the limbs off when you grab them. You know, you can place them anywhere you want, however you want. You know, as precisely, you know, as you want to place them. Not only that, but you'll see, we'll walk through the woods here. I'm raking up brush. I'm making, you know, piles and getting the brush off the ground. It's really a wonderful machine. I mean, it'll do it. Getting one of these on your property, the only thing that I can even think of that would come anywhere near this is maybe like something like a pecan mulcher, where you're going to come in and just absolutely, you know, mulch stuff up and make trails. Other than that, I don't think there's anything that can change your property as fast as something like this. I mean, just the wide range of stuff it does, and then, you know, the different attachments. So we were just looking at the miscanthus there. I don't have a lot. We can go look at the miscanthus that I planted a year ago. Actually, we'll do that right after this. But I have what's called a frost tooth for this. It's just a big single shank ripper. And my average last year for planting miscanthus, by myself, mind you, is about 100 rhizomes per hour, or excuse me, 100 rhizomes per half hour with this machine. So 200 rhizomes an hour that I can do by myself with this machine, with that ripper. This is how I plant miscanthus by myself. I use a frost tooth, drop it down somewhere around 8 inches, and then just back up. I can plant about 20 yards in about 10 minutes this way, by myself. Just gonna back up here, rip open a trench, and then turn around and drop the rhizomes in it. It's that easy. Here's my trench. Just going along, dumping one in every 20 inches. All the way down. And here's last year's trench. Okay, final step here. I'm driving right back over the top of the trench, packing it right down. We're gonna get right here to the end of my trench, and then I'm just dropping my blade and back blading right back across. Right here is last year's miscanthus trench, done the exact same way, right there. Yeah, I can put, you know, miscanthus in ridiculously quick by myself. You know, the only other way I know of to put miscanthus in faster would be, you know, maybe a tree planter, and that takes 2 guys to do it. Like I said, I could do this by myself. If I had help, you know, if I had another guy just putting the rhizomes in the ground, and I could go around and just rip the trench and then go back, drive back over it to pack it down, I easily could probably double, if not triple that number realistically. Okay, I mean, if you had someone following the machine just dropping rhizomes in, yeah, I honest to God think you could probably put in, you know, 400 or 500 an hour pretty easily, and probably more than that if you really wanted to work. I mean, if you were getting after it. So, I mean, yeah, think about getting one on your property. You know, before you do though, make sure you got a hell of a good plan, because you know, I do this, you know, I run this machine for a living, and I show up at a lot of properties and a lot of, you know, clean brush and trees, not necessarily for habitat or whatever, but it's people's perception of, you know, how long it takes to do, you know, like for example, some brush clearing, or, you know, tree clearing and fence row clearing, for example. Something like this, it just tears through it so quick. It's unbelievable, really. And so, I mean, if you think you got a good list for a machine to come in and do work, make sure your list is twice as long. I mean, it's because these things will just move through stuff and knock out projects. I mean, one after another. You know, I mean, you can get a lot done with one. So yeah, let's go look at that miscanthus planting real quick. Okay, actually I think we're going to go back here. Take a look. What do we got going here? Oh yeah, not quite sure what happened there with the screen going dark, but I think we got the audio. So here's one of the treetops that I put in. I actually just noticed I need to adjust it just a little bit and pull this end right here a little bit towards us. But yeah, that's just going to sit out there. It's going to break this area up, and you know, so right over here, right there on the edge, that is the neighbor's property. As the deer come out, I've got a few trees hinged over right here, just laying out. You can see the top of this one. It's got growth in it. I just laid them out there, and then this one right here that I cut went ahead and came right off the stump. So now he sits out here, and that's just going to help break things up, kind of help create more of a little pocket. But let's look at this miscanthus that I put in with the trencher. The majority of the miscanthus that I put in on this property, I put in along the road. I have about almost not quite 400 yards to cover. Right up here, all of this, all the way along this, all the way along that road, right there to the corner. Yeah, it's not quite 400 yards, and yeah, so that's where the majority of my miscanthus has been going. But I put this in last year. You see, this was part of what was left over that I put in the little mound that we just looked at there. Yeah, so this is doing really well. I mean, I don't know if I put 100 in here. There's probably not quite 100. There's 75 of them maybe or something. But another one here. So yeah, they're in here, you know, every, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet. Yeah, this one's a little further apart, right? He's right down in there. Yeah, they're just competing out here with the native grasses, so they didn't get too tall. I found actually that Miscanthus doesn't mind, I mean, I don't want to say it likes wet feet, but it doesn't mind a little bit of moisture. Anywhere where I put some down in the lower ground, not wet ground, not, you know, standing water, but down in the lower ground it seemed to do really well. Not seeing any Miscanthus through here at the moment. Not sure. Yeah, it looks like we're walking right on the trail of it, so. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, so it is here. It is here. Yeah, okay. Back, it is right there. Yeah, okay, they're here. I wonder if I mowed over this. I got pretty close. I mean, they're here. You see a little bit of switchgrass came right up here on this edge right there. That right there is switch. Which will be really cool because I think this is gonna look, when the switch starts to mature out here and you just got little pockets of switch, you know, out here. And dot some Miscanthus pockets in, get some evergreens going out here. I think this is gonna be a neat area. Let's go look at the woods real quick. Our little bit of switchgrass popping up right there. I think that's switch. That might not have been switch. This 100% switchgrass right there. You can see kind of dotted in here. It's not super thick. Oh yeah, you can see it here. So this one actually almost put on a seed head. Look at that. I don't know if any of them back here actually put on seed heads. I don't know if you guys can see that. But yeah, how cool is that? So yeah, this is a decent little pocket right here. Here's some more. That is switchgrass right there, guys. It's almost got like a little more of like an orangish tinge to it than the other grasses. So you can see there's a decent little pocket of it growing up right here, which is really cool because I kind of have, it's actually really cool. Let's back up a little bit. Might be a little hard to see, but there's kind of like a little trail that goes through here, and then I kind of have a little trail that goes through here, and this little bit of growth that you're seeing there is just going to get let go to be kind of native. Yeah, so I got switchgrass kind of growing up right here on the point of that. That's pretty neat. You can see shit growing up in the tops of the tops, tips of the tops, I should say. So a lot of foxtail growing up in there, pigweed or hogweed, whatever that shit is called, and I have to take care of that. But yeah, you can see, check this out. So this, this was an arborvitae. Green arborvitae. So this tree was, I think, about 5 foot tall. I think that was about 5 foot tall right in there. And yeah, this is put in simply for a rub tree. As you can see here in just a second, the deer, as you can see, the deer absolutely hammered it. They just destroyed it, and that's the purpose. You put it in here, and these deer, I don't know if we'll be able to see this trail, but they're making a beeline right for this. Trail camera on a mock scrape right here, and then in the background, the arborvitae. I think you guys can see this trail right here. Leads right through here. They're just coming out of here and making a beeline for it. Get over here, Archer, come on. So this is a fence. This is the neighbor's property over here. And then this is the fence. You can see they're jumping this fence. Jumping that fence, taking this trail, and going right on up to that arborvitae up there. Yeah, absolutely hammering it. Just can't resist it. So, as we go into the woods here, so this woods is maybe 3 acres at the very most. Probably not even 3 acres. There's probably not hardly 3 acres of woods on this entire property, as you guys will see real quick here. Not a lot. So this woods was logged 2 years ago. Now this area that we're in here had a few trees cut out, had some dead trees, some dead ash, maybe some dead elm, and they were probably cut out about 10 to 15 years ago. And that just helped these rose bushes all grow in here, start growing up. But this woods was cow pasture. Everything on this farm was either hayfield or cow pasture. And I came in here, and you kind of see I raked some trails through these rose bushes. And piled up stuff there. But yeah, this area was pretty much impenetrable. I mean, rabbits might have been living in here, but as far as the deer moving through it, there was pretty much nothing. I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't have had a few places to move through, but I mean, these rose bushes here that you're seeing they're taller than me. I mean, this guy right here is 8 foot tall up there at the top, and just a jumble at the bottom. And that's what all of this was, all of this entire area. And I just came in here with the excavator and just made some trails through it, kind of opened it up. My thought is to probably go ahead this spring and probably put a little switchgrass down on these trails. I thought that might be kind of neat. Let a little switch grow up on these trails, maybe some clover. I'm gonna get that done here in the next week. I didn't get them all raked out. Kind of ended right here, you can see, but I at least opened them up. You can get back in through them and navigate around a little bit. Show you just kind of some piles of stuff that I kind of cleared out of here in a few areas. Had a little top dirt right here that was dumped years ago that had intentions maybe at some time digging out of here, but we never did, and so I just pushed it out. Now the deer can go through there if I ever wanted. I can dig some of it out. I got more top dirt than I really need, so you can see the deer are making some trails through here. Kind of wander on down through, but I'm just opening it up and cleaning it up. So most of the logging took place up ahead of us here, up in here, and as open as it looks in here, as open as you guys are seeing, this is the thickest this woods has ever been. Well, maybe that's not true, but this spring here I came in and I cleaned up all the tops from the logging, and you know, I know most people, for the deer, they're not wanting to do that, but the reason I came in and I cleared up, not all, but a lot of the tops out of here, was because I wanted to get my mini excavator back in here and do some more things, and you know, pile up some more of this brush, scrape open some more areas to you know, open up the soil and kind of make it a little more diverse in here. And I wanted to get all that stuff done before it was, you know, too thick, because once I got all that stuff cleaned up that was dropped down from the logging, all right, now I'm able to come in, and you can see I have a lot of little oak trees growing up. I mean, there's cherry trees in here, a little elm right there. I mean, all of those will make great trees to drop down later. Like all those cherries will probably just end up getting flush cut, fell down. The little oaks here, these little trees, I have tons of these little trees. So this woods had no management for years, and we'll see. We'll actually walk up there right now. You'll see here all these small trees, just little guys, and they're all just straight timber poles. I mean, you can see they're just straight pole timber. And here's the thing, yeah, if you had 100 acres of this or something, you know, maybe you could keep it for timber value someday. But I don't have 100 acres of it. There's like, an acre of it here now. So a lot of these trees, this little elm here, give you guys somewhat of an idea. I mean, they're perfect sized trees to hinge. And I got these, you got red oaks in here that'll come over real nice. So there's a lot of stuff in here still after the logging to take down. So I've got a lot of side cover left that's still standing. And another reason, you can see I got a little antsy and a little excited here. I had to come in and do a little hinge cutting, just couldn't resist. And it's funny, this little area right here, I mean, there's not even 10 trees hinge cut right here. This little area right here with these couple of hinge cuts right here, and then there's a cherry top that I left here. This was the only area that had any bedding on this property. Consistent bedding that I was seeing was that little pocket right there. So it just kind of shows, that hinge cutting, that side cover, that overhead cover. But yeah, so yeah, this little area right here, and I got, as you can see, there's more trees right here to cut. You can kind of see the size of some of these trees, but yeah, this was the only little area right here that actually had any bedding in it, in this entire woods. I mean, a couple acres here, but I think this is going to be my middle bedding in this woods, and then there's going to be a bedding area on that side over there. And as we go back this way, there's going to be another bedding area just up over there, up on that hill right there. And I think those, whether they all three get occupied by 3 different doe families, or however it breaks down, I don't necessarily think there's going to be three deer families in these 3 bedding areas. But even if one deer family is using the 3 bedding areas, that's much more than I have going on for me, or has ever been going on this farm for decades. So I still have a little bit of tops in here, some oak tops. You can see I left. But coming up in here, this is all the pole timber. A lot of oaks that just need to start coming out of here. They're just too small. They're way too small to be trees to log. So I just got to come in and cut them. And the plan is to take my time in here and just cut out some, flush cut them, let them dry, drag them out, go ahead and burn them as firewood. And then others, especially some of these more out on the edge, can edge feather some out. I'll show you guys a little quick something while we're right here on this edge. You can see these 2 old pine trees. Believe it or not, there used to be a little dirt bike course out here. That pine tree right there, I ran over once with a dirt bike, and that thing now is probably 35 feet tall, 30 feet tall at minimum. I mean, that you wouldn't want to run into that with a bike anymore. That wouldn't be good. But anyways, cool thing about that tree is right here is a natural scrape, right under these, under these limbs here. And I'm going to get a stand up in one of these trees I just got to work on some screening. I got a really nice dirt berm right here. It must be part of the old motocross track out here, but yeah, I thought I'd take that dirt berm and kind of spread it out a little more and stretch it that way. And once I get this firewood, these are the tops that I've been pulling out of here with the excavator. But I thought I'd spread this berm, take this berm and use the excavator and put half of it over here, kind of take that berm over there, the old motocross ramp, and bring it up here a little bit closer, and kind of give myself a little dirt berm all the way. Maybe not completely around these trees, but you know, maybe I will go completely around, put the dirt right here in front of them too, go right around the edge, and that way these deer aren't getting right up underneath me. You know, and just get a stand right up in there. Them scrape limbs, the scrape is right there. I mean, it's not even a 20-yard shot. It's just be a sweet little setup. You can sneak in. Sure, you can see the house up in there. Sneak down the road here. Come all the way down the road, and then there's a 2-track and come right on in, and then I'd be down below on the other side of where these logs are, an old sand pit, and I can come up the old sand pit, come right up the back side, and come right on into these pines. I think it's going to be a nice little spot. I just got to get the screening in here to feel comfortable about getting in here and getting set up. I'm going to be right on top of the deer if they're bedding on my property, and I really expect them to bed here, just simply because we'll look at it and show you the neighbors, and you guys will understand exactly why if they're going to be in this area, they're going to bed here on this hill, and they're going to want to look out at the neighbors. I really think this area here in front of us that you're about to see is probably going to be my #1 bedding area here on this farm, just because it's a hill and it drops down, and then basically at the bottom of the hill my neighbor's property starts. The corner of the property is right down in here, so down this line here, and then back across down the southern boundary line, my neighbor starts, and his woods is extremely open. I mean, it is your typical park effect, you know, big maple, open woods, not much timber value, not much habitat value, but yeah, I just terrain wise, the deer want to bed up here anyway. But this has always been so wide open, and it's been cattle pasture. There's just never been any deer bedding in here. It's just never been habitat. So I think I mentioned I haven't done much hinge cutting, or you can see I haven't done much hinge cutting or a whole lot in here yet. We did the logging 2 years ago in the whole area here. I took out a lot of maples. Basically I let the guys take a couple of the hardwoods that were here. You know, there was a couple decent walnuts and some oaks. They got some nice white oaks out of here, but yeah, the deal was they had to get the maples out in order to get the other stuff, and they did. I'm quite happy with what they left. You know, I wanted them to take a lot of trees, and I was really happy with what they left with. But I just came in here with that mini excavator and I started raking things up. You can see I got piles of stuff, and right here you see this is an area I raked. I mean, this is just dirt. I mean, this is exposed ground now, whereas before I didn't get all of it, but it was covered with sticks. I mean, it was covered with stuff, you know, like this. And you can see, I mean, that pile right there, this guy right here is, you know, easily a 4-foot tall pile. This one down here is probably 5 or maybe even a 6-foot tall pile of just stuff. And I didn't get all of it, but I got a vast majority of it here on this hillside, where I really do expect the deer to bed once I come in and start hinging. But the idea here is I'm in no rush. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna hinge cut probably next year, and that'll be 2 full years, technically the 3rd year after having it logged. And I don't have a good example of it. Well, maybe this guy right here. So one reason I'm not coming right in and hinge cutting right away, or another reason, I mean, one is to come in and clean up with the mini excavator, but the other reason is, and I'll show you right here how well you can see it or not. So this is a little cherry tree right here, and I don't know if you can see all the little growth that's coming out right down here, all right, but that tree bushed out like crazy because there was much less competition down here after taking some of these bigger trees out. And yes, a lot of these trees now that they have less competition are kind of bushing out in the top. And now that I've let them go a couple of years, when I go in and hinge cut them, there's going to be so much more material, so much more brush, you know, on the tops of those trees. You know, this little guy's another, you know, good example. There's going to be so much more little growth up on the tops of those trees, not only for the deer to eat, but for cover. And so I really feel like being patient and, you know, getting this cleaned out and then coming back in and doing my hinges, and virtually just looking at these trees, guys, I'm gonna go so far as to say damn near half of these trees are the diameter, they're safe to hinge trees. I mean, if that's a you know, an oxymoron, you know, safe to hinge, but yeah, safe is as far as hinge cutting a tree, these are sizes that I feel comfortable hinge cutting. At least half of them that are in here. So if you can imagine, half of these trees that are in here, more than half, are going to be gone. I realistically expect to come in here and leave about 25% of these trees that are standing yet today. I'm probably going to come in here and they're probably going to end up being probably 25% right in there that I'm probably going to come in and girdle or girdle and spray, hack and squirt, and then there's probably 25% that I'm going to flush cut, just fell them right over and leave them, and then maybe 25% that I'll hinge cut, and that'll leave, you know, a quarter of the trees standing, which are probably going to be, you know, some of my you know, oaks that are left in here. You know, there's, you know, some of the smaller trees, of course, a lot of the smaller stuff I will leave, just, you know, in the future. But yeah, over time, I realistically expect to take another 3/4 of the trees and either you know, kill them and leave them standing, or get them down on the ground, whether that's a hinge cut or just fell down for side cover. That's the realistic plan in here over the next, you know, 10 years, is to get these trees down on the ground. Some of the bigger ones, some of the give you a real good example here. Deer trail that runs right here, but here's the property line. Here's a maple that could have been taken out and logged, but it was too close to the property line to mess with it, so I told the guys to leave it. And so a tree like that, I could just come in, girdle that thing, and it's down here on the property line, blocking on the southern property line, blocking out sunlight to everything out here to the north. So I could just come down there, girdle that thing, take care of it. It'd be much just like this standing dead one right here. Top broke out years ago, you know, and that's the thing, you know. A tree like that you girdle, the top's going to break out, you know, generally before the bottom. Not always, but the limbs are going to start breaking out, and then it's going to fall out, you know, the you know, you'll have the trunk standing. How many bugs and grubs do you think are in that tree right now? How many mice are in that tree? How many, you know, how many birds right now? You know, how many baby birds are, you know, yeah, it might be a little early for baby birds, but you know, there's a lot of life going on in that tree right there. And I think one could argue that a tree like that, a dead standing tree, habitat wise, is probably the most valuable tree in the woods. Obviously not financially, nobody cares about that, and then the liability of it falling over is, you know, you got that too. But you know, a dead standing tree It's kind of, it's rare. There's lots of dead trees down on the ground, and there's lots of trees around. But you look at all these trees around, right here's another one that's dead and standing, but this one just got knocked out by the when the logging was done. The top got knocked out, but right here's another dead standing. This is probably an old elm. Yep, this is an elm. Probably died of Dutch elm disease. But a tree like that right there, that dead elm, how many bugs and grubs are in the wood of that right there? And I believe I seen it somewhere that 85% of wildlife relies on standing dead trees and fallen dead trees, whether it's directly or indirectly. You think about the birds that are going to land on a tree like this guy right here. Think about the bird that's going to land up there and peck at that tree for birds, and while he's doing that, he's going to spurt out some seeds out his back end, and now you got rose bushes and blackberries and all that good stuff growing up at the base of a dead tree like that. The top is now gone. There's open sunlight up there for the berries and stuff to get started at the bottom, and that's how early successional growth happens right there, is standing dead trees. I mean, there's a lot of habitat value in a standing dead tree. And the rarity is, I mean, most trees, they die, they're going to fall over, in a few years. A tree that's standing dead, it's a whole different ecosystem in the standing dead tree versus the stuff that's falling down on the ground. Even out of the exact same dead tree, I can see there's the top of it right over here. Here's the top of this tree right here, and you can see how much more decayed and stuff this is already. Just laying down here on the ground, absorbing moisture. All whole different environment than this guy right here. I mean, you can even see a little mouse house or something down here. I mean, how cool. How cool. The woodpeckers digging at it, stuff boring into it here. These, look at that. I mean, there's a lot of wildlife, a lot of habitat value in dead standing trees. And I'm not going to be hunting down here. I'm not going to have no blinds down here, so I do not mind going around in these big maples that the loggers left down here on the property line, especially as we get down closer here. There's several good sized ones. I don't mind at all coming in and hitting those with a chainsaw and a little bit of Craig Harper's mix. The maple trees, I found out you really don't even need to use the triclopyr, Craig Harper mix. If you just simply use some glyphosate, some Roundup on the maple trees, on the soft maples, that doesn't seem to be a problem with taking care of them. So this little high spot here, this is going to be the probably the third bedding area, if you will. I mean, it's another little hill, same thing. It looks out at my neighbor's property. We'll take a stroll back here and we'll go walk across the old cow pasture and give you guys a little look at that. Come on, dogs, let's go. So down here you can kind of see I got a few brush piles. These are the maples I'm talking about, probably coming down here, and got one there, got a big guy there. Got a real big guy right here, basically into the fence. Got another big guy right there. They took half of him. Another big one they took half of. But those ones down here, I wouldn't have a problem with coming in here and hitting all these big ones. Another big guy right there. Not really sure why the loggers didn't take him. He might have a big crack in him or a rod at the bottom. But yeah, we'll get these taken care of, and that'll just get more sunlight down here in this corner. It'll help this little area out here. So we'll go take a little stroll back through here. We're coming right back out to where the arborvitae was. And those things, yeah, I got 2 of them here on this farm. They were just hammered. We'll show you the next one here out in the old cow pasture. They absolutely just got hammered. I was really surprised, even the one in the cow pasture out in the open like it was. Just, you know, this one, the arborvitae is right there. This one's kind of tucked back in, you know, it's already back in an inside corner here, and then I went ahead and laid the tops out there and went ahead and hinge cut this tree out here and kind of made it, you know, and even you know, a little thicker little corner, you know, kind of screened it off, and then you know, left a pretty good opening, you know, for the deer to go out. So as we go through here, we work our way through here. Old cow lane is what this was right here. And I'm just working on hinging these trees, creating a soft edge out here. Not going to hinge cut every single one of them, and not going to hinge cut them all right away. My plan is to probably leave this one for now and leave, you know, that one for now. I think these got hinge cut last year, these couple here. This one is the one that didn't survive, that's now top out in the field out there. And then this one right here, I'm considering, now that I've got, I had some wood blocks here all stacked up right here, and I think this tree now this year is probably going to end up getting hinged out there. Hopefully I can get that one to survive. Had a bunch of blocks right here from a bunch of butts from the stumps where they bucked them up out in the logging deck. So okay, now we're crossing into the old cow pasture. So we'll stop in right here and take a quick look at this. This is a little bitty pond I dug out. And the entire reason I dug this little pond, you guys can't tell, but I definitely can. This corner right here, this little corner, this little area, you can see the fence post as you come through right here. This right here, under this hanging limb right here, and then right here where I'm standing on this trail, I'll spin around, right through here along the edge of the fence. And right through here, all of this was pretty low ground, pretty wet. So the entire reason I put this little pond in here was simply to get, and you can kind of see it here, simply to get the spoils out of that, so I could build this ground up all the way around it, so that when I drove the tractor around here, I wasn't sinking into the ground. As soon as you come off that hill, you would plunge right down into the kind of the muddy muck. And so this little guy here it's not very big, but I mean, I'm probably 5 feet deep in there, and just simply spreading it all around here. You can see it. You can see it right here. You can see all of these little maple trees that are coming up. Hundreds of them, thousands, millions of them, maybe. I mean, they're, you know, everywhere. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's, you know, 10. There's 10 right there. Right there. 10 of them. So this whole area everywhere has those just dotted all over it. And yeah, most of them are not going to survive, but the ones that do are gonna make some cover someday here. And yeah, so now I'm able to get around this area pretty easily. It really helped out. And just little bitty pond, and I'm sure the deer are going to drink out of it down here in this corner. That's not really what it was put in here for, but you know, if they want to use it, they can. So out here, this is Northwoods Whitetail, I think Chicory blend here. Look at that. It's doing really nice. In fact, I think this plot here is doing the nicest of any of the plots that I got going at the moment. Just really did good. Some good soil for this blend, I think. Here you can see a little mound here. I'm gonna take you up on this one. This one's one of the smaller ones, but yeah, you get the concept. Just surrounded by water, high ground, and you probably can't see them, but there is some deer tracks right there. I'll come down here. Hopefully you guys can see this. This would be in this stuff here. You can see them, but they're going to be hard to see. Same thing with the other pond. All kinds of little willows here growing up, maples growing up, all kinds of growth happening out around these mounds. So far, I'm happy with how they've came out. I'm gonna do a little more work on them. Put some details to them, you know. But they kind of surround, not really surround, but I have my clover plot here. This is just a little bitty piece of high ground right here, kind of a little strip, and I tucked a little clover plot here in, just on the other side of these mounds, and then over here, these are little ditches that I've dug. This one needs to be ditched out just a little deeper, but these simply are going to hold water for a few months out of the year in the spring. I mean, if we get a major rain, they'll hold a little bit of water, but these little ditches here are just going to get planted with cattails, any other kind of aquatic plant that wants to grow up in there, I'm fine with. It's just going to be to break up, you know, from over there to here. And right here where I'm standing, I've got some dirt that I've pushed out, that I dug out of these little ditches, and the idea is to just create some little high ground mounds kind of out here, not surrounded by water, but just some high mounds out in the middle of what is already, I guess, high ground, or not wet ground down here. So this is the creek, borders the backside of the property, my southern border. This is where quite a bit of the deer travel actually happens, right down this edge. You might be able to see the trail there. A lot of travel happening right here across the backside of the property, and then I'm trying to get them to come out in here and use this. A lot of deer are coming out here, and they come from the back corner, and they want to cut right across and get right into the ag fields out there, and just keep on going, go right across the road into the neighbor's ag, and across the next road into the next neighbor's ag. So this little area down here, inside of these tops that I've got, that I placed out here, you can see there's very few trees out here, very few. There was, maybe 15 years ago, there was some nice sized willow trees growing out here my dad cut down. His intentions were cow pasture, not deer habitat, so this is what's left of one of those big willows. It's bushing out, and it's coming back. They're coming back. Another one of my little ditches in here, but on this little pocket here, from these tops right here, and this is not a very big area, half an acre maybe, probably not even a half an acre, but from those tops to the standing trees that you see right over there, my plan with this area is here to just let it grow native. I mean, you can see there's actually a few walnut trees growing up right here. It's kind of cool. And there's a few other probably mulberry trees I think growing around here, but my thought is to come in here, and I've plugged some in, I don't know, a week ago or something, but I'm gonna keep plugging more of this miscanthus in here, and just kind of dot it in here and make them about 10 feet apart to start with, or a little more. You can see one right here. I got a miscanthus. Over here there's another one about 10 feet away. There's a little miscanthus there. Sure, if I walked around I could find another one that I put in. Right over here's another one. I put I don't know, a dozen of them maybe back here. Right there's another one. But yeah, the plan was, just to keep dotting them in here, get them started this year. I think, like I said, I probably put a dozen in, this area. This little, it's good size, but these tops right here are just kind of placed out here as a something to break up the area. It lets the rabbits and the mice and everything else get down in there, and have a little spot to hang out and hide. And yeah, I just, this area is, I'm hoping it to be like a miscanthus jungle. Did a tour at Lookout Hills Farm. I think it's Lookout Hills Farm last year, and seen what Elliot was doing up there with some miscanthus, getting some bedding use out of it, and I really like that concept of just kind of spreading the miscanthus out in an area, just really creating a little miniature jungle. And I think this area right here is perfect for it back here. It's going to break up. It's going to break up in between that little clover food plot and the next clover food plot, which we'll go over to right now. It's over here just on the other side of these trees. So right here I'll show you the probably the best scrape on the whole property. It's a natural scrape. It's been used for years, and this is where I get a lot of good pictures of a lot of good deer. This limb right here, this natural limb hanging here, and these deer, believe it or not, are coming right across. You can see the trail. They come right across the creek right here and right up that other side. And yeah, that's a major travel area here, travel trail onto this property. And then you can see they're kind of splitting, coming around here. We'll follow this down and we'll loop into the clover plot. So the idea is here to try to get these deer and draw them this way any way I can. I had a small arborvitae in here. You can see the scrape, mock scrape. Definitely finding that. And I had a little baby arborvitae in here that I put right here, and they just absolutely hammered it. You can actually see the arborvitae leaves there. There's a few of them left. Oh, those ones are even. Yep, that one's still attached. It's the only one. But yeah, they just absolutely hammered this thing, just destroyed it. And that was a little one. I mean, they just cannot resist coming in and getting those. So we'll go across here, take a look at this. This is another one of my ditches. This is probably the largest and widest ditch here. I'm gonna dot some cattails, some more cattails in it. I got a few in them. The plan is if they grow up into cattails, it creates a border from what's going to be inside the food plot over here to outside the food plot over there. And then right here where we're walking, I got a little land bridge, another ditch here, a little land bridge as we cross. And this is my second clover plot. And I can't remember if this was seclusion blend or if this was the wet ground clover. Everything here on the farm right now this year is Northwoods Whitetail. We gotta get the grass out of this. That's one issue out here, but I'm happy with it. This was a brassica plot, 2 years ago, and then I turned it into clover, or it was brassica plot last year, and then went to clover, I guess, year before. So we'll keep working our way down here. Ditch wraps right around this area. You'll see this in the drone footage. Right down here you can see the deer are using this trail quite a bit. Through here, there's a willow tree. It just self hinge cut itself. You see all the growth going on, all the vertical growth. Deer coming up here, bucks rubbing on it. The deer probably trying to make a scrape right here, I would say, out on the ends of it, chewing on the ends. So we'll come up here, we'll come take a look at the food plot trail. We'll walk back there in a second here, but this back here is the very corner of the property, very back corner. And so this is the food plot trail that runs through here, up here, winds around here at the moment, right through here, all the way back around, and about right in there it stops. And you'll see that on the drone footage. You'll be able to get a real good look at that. As you can see, it's extremely open back here. Up here ahead of us we have a little growth. That was where my dad's old food plot was, and kind of cut along the edge of it. But this was where my brassicas were this year. You can see there is just none left. Deer pawed things up pretty good, and I don't see a single brassica bulb anywhere. So as we get into here, it gets a little closer to the woods. So I start to transition into clover, Northwoods Whitetail, but I'm not for sure which blend is in here. This is doing really nice though. Come in here and mow this, keep it down. It does really nice. So here's another arborvitae. I had several of them, I guess, here. Just absolutely hammered. Just totally hammered. I mean, just stripped it. Arborvitae, same story. You got the grapevine, trail camera. And then travel here. Look, go right into the corner of the property, but this is the deer. Basically mowed a little trail. You maybe can kind of see I left this, just mowed this. We'll probably try to get some clover going on this little trail, but then clover kind of around the base of the tree. It didn't really do nothing under the tree, but then out here in the more open, you know, all this clover is what's trying to draw these deer in, basically off the neighbors. This is obviously, it's my furthest back point of the property off the road, it's also my neighbor's furthest back point of his property off the road. So so I try to leave the pressure off here and just let the deer come in and filter in through this corner. And yeah, you can see the corner of the actual corner of the property right here is a little choked up, but these deer are coming around this edge right here, and they're actually crossing right there and going on. Some of them do come through down here on the corner, but either that or they're coming through generally right here. And so you can see down here, this is ag fields. Damn big ag field here. There might be 80 acres of just tillable ground right there. And then you got a fence row, and then you got some tucked in ag fields back in here with, probably can't see it, but there's a creek that comes through here and separates them. Same creek that goes right along the edge of my border down there. Yeah, the deer either come in, they're either coming in on the property right there, or they're coming in really right where we're standing, or right up here where the dog is crossing through. And I'm going to be trying to encourage that a lot more to get them to come up here. So that scrape you just seen down there is actually going to get moved. So we'll look at that real quick. So that scrape is down there on this tree here. And the idea is actually to put it on this tree and this limb right here. Right here where I'm standing. And then the idea is here in this oak tree right here at the very tip of this of my fence row on my western border, putting a tree stand in, and this is maybe a 25-yard shot from that tree. And right there, if there's a scrape right here where I'm standing, and that's right just over the property line. The plan is to go along this property line this year and get some miscanthus started right here. Leave a little bit of a gap maybe right up in there. Those fence posts are probably going to end up staying, those 3 wooden posts, and then this fence here, all the other fencing here is going to get tore out. In between here, all this fencing is going to get tore out, and the idea is that right up in here, I would like to have the deer trail come in, a mowed trail, kind of come in and split off this way, ideally, so I could probably try to get some scrape vines in those limbs right there hanging down on a trail through here, and then also have this trail Y off and go down there to a scrape limb right there, and then move my vine down there that the camera's on, go ahead and move it up here and turn the camera around, face it towards us, and then move these deer along this hillside right here when this fence comes out. So I think we'll yeah, let's go ahead and go up here, cruise this area here, and I'll show you the old food plot. This would have been my dad's food plot before he passed. He tried to throw the kitchen sink of seed at things, and I mean, it worked. it worked. It was more food than what you're seeing like here, which is none. So but I just you can see everywhere that you can see all this grass, this taller stuff, these weeds. I let it grow. I just my dad's food plot, I the very first year I took it over, I planted brassicas into it, so this was all one big brassica plot, and then I just let it go and let the weeds come up, and came through. I mowed some trails through it. You'll see that real clearly on the drone video, but yeah, I mowed these trails through it, and I think I did spread a little bit of clover on these trails, or tried to. Yeah, this just creates some pockets. It's got some native growth out here. The plan is out here, same thing as all the way across over there where we looked at the high ground over there. The only difference is here, I don't know if I'm going to have a whole lot for food plots. I might do some micro plots, but same thing. I want to plug in some evergreen trees, get some miscanthus growing out here. I did come out here and overseed a little bit of switchgrass into this. I have found a few here and there, but it's honestly, it's too far in between them to go around and even try to show you or find one. They're here, but it's not a lot. So and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with just having these little pockets, or just even a single clump of switchgrass growing up, you know, even if it's every 20-30 yards or something. I'm perfectly fine with that right now. Like I said, this is gonna get evergreens in it, and evergreens and miscanthus, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, just gonna let a lot of native growth happen out here, and just let it do its thing. Help it along with some evergreen and miscanthus plantings, but just let it kind of do its thing. I'd like it to one day be a thermal cover, you know, bedding area. So now let's go out here real quick, and we will kind of get a look at this. This out here, it really looks the same as the other side of the fence back here. Really similar, but this out here has a lot more trees going on in it. Now I did mow some of this when I took it over, and I do wish I wouldn't have did that now, because there would have been some more native growth out here. But it is what it is now. And so same thing, I got a little trail that runs down the center of this, and then I've come in here just recently in the last week. You can see the top that I laid out here. I had some dead tops that fell, you know, off this fence row right here into the property, and I just took them and laid them out here into this field out here, basically out in the center. The idea behind that was just to give some cover for some rabbits and break it up a little bit for the deer. It's gonna create a little bit of diversity out here, you know. Same thing out here is as back in here, back on the other side of the fence over there. Same thing. Looking to plant some thermal cover out here. Evergreens, miscanthus. There is some switchgrass out here. I know I have more out here. I seeded more out here than I did back there at the old brassica plot. So all of this right here, you see the fence there, that fence right there, to this tree line right here. All of this right here about 10 years ago was hayfield. Maybe just over 10 years ago, but this was production hayfield, you know, a little over 10 years ago. My dad came down here, he plowed it up, he brought a buckets of walnuts down here and threw them out, and then disked them in. And you got all these walnut trees down here, and then I came in and I mowed. I mean, you can see a ton of them here, little guys here. I mean, just, they're everywhere. I came in and I tried to mow some food plots out, I think the first year I took it over. And I mowed down a bunch of them out here in the center. I do kind of wish I would have let them go. Not that walnuts are great habitat, but it does break it up out here. I mean, you can imagine this was a wide open hayfield, you know, 10 years ago, and now you can see, I mean, it hasn't done a ton out here in the center where, I mean, yeah, you got some little walnuts growing here, but for the most part, you know, out here in the middle is just a lot of grass, you know. Not a lot of weeds. I've came in and sprayed it a couple of times, mowed some pockets out, but yeah, it's I mean, it's coming along, as you can see, as we get closer. Right about here, back here it's pretty open. I mean, it's there's cover, there's some walnuts growing on the sides, you know, on the sides, but the center is pretty open. And then from this point on, as you kind of look, I mean, yes, the sides are significantly more walnuts growing, more cover. And it's not just walnuts, there's other things in there, but I mean, it is predominantly walnut trees that my dad threw the walnuts out and dissed them in. But you can see the center here has got quite a bit more cover. I mean, there's a massive rose bush up there that's providing some serious cover. Just one rose bush really is providing a ton of cover. But there is more trees here in the center. And part of that is my fault, because I came out here in the center when I took it over the first year, and I tried to carve out some plots. And I know, like this area we're walking into right now, I know I killed a lot of these walnuts that were small. You can see here's some switchgrass. So the area that I mowed, you can see the switch coming up. You can see it here, coming up over here. Really a decent patch of it right here happening. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I mean, there's going to be quite a bit of switchgrass, I think, out here as the years go on. Like I said, I'm really, honestly, not the way you're supposed to do it, but I came out here with a seeder and spread this right into the, you know, some of the native growth. Now I did mow and I did do some burning out here the year before, so it was basically knocked down before I did spread the switch. And I didn't spread the switch maybe out in areas like this. It's, you know, mostly those areas that first year that I mowed plots out of is so it should be coming up here in the next year. Should really be able to notice it much more, you know, this following year. And we'll see what it does, and you know, if it needs some more in a few years, I'll spread a little more out here. But let's just kind of cruise through here. So quite a bit more growth up here, more rose bushes. I'll go show you my project from last week. So this area, like I said multiple times, I'm gonna dot miscanthus pockets through here, evergreens, and see what the switchgrass does. Probably end up putting more switchgrass in here. So the deer trail, I'm trying to get all the trails down here to basically go through, and I want them to cross basically right here, right by this old cedar tree. There's this trail that kind of leads in and comes out here. That's going to be a little bit of a far shot from the cedar, but I'll show you what I'm doing to try to pinch them down and get them a little closer to that cedar here. I came down here about a week ago and started on this. And I'm just going to see how it goes. It's nothing fancy. You see, I just dug a little bit of a hole here, scratched down a couple of feet on the back side. This is right up by the road. The deer are not using this area to begin with. I mean, they're not bedding here. They're really not feeding here. They're crossing the road back up here. So you can see right here would be the corner of my property. So I left a little gap here for these deer to come in right here out in the corner. You know, so if they want to come in on the property, they can get in here on the corner. They can leave the property on the corner too, but the idea here was, now I've got about a 3-foot berm right here along the edge of the road, and as you can see, it really, from the center of the road, is not much higher than the actual center of the road. In fact, by the time this settles down here, gets a couple rains on it, and settles down, washes down, honest to God, this is probably not going to be, you guys can see that or not, this is not going to be much higher than the road out here, if any. However, it's much higher than this right here. So even if I gain a foot, or two with this little berm, what I can plant on top of it ideally is going to be miscanthus, and it's just going to give it an extra foot or two of, you know, of height to screen off from the road down here. But the other idea is this little berm with this ditch on the other side is going to really prevent deer from wanting to travel up and over it. Generally, you know, they're just not going to want to come from this side on the road side, go up on the berm, or I guess they could go up on the berm and then jump the ditch. But they're really not going to want to come down into the ditch and then climb up on the berm. So ideally, deer, being lazy, will either come around it here, or as they make their way from this corner of this woods across the road from my property, instead of coming to right here where we're standing, ideally they'll take a little bit of an angle and they'll go through down here. They'll go down through here. Depending on how this berm works out and what the deer do as far as the trail goes, I might continue the berm on the other side of this walnut tree here a little ways, because you can see there's a major crossing where the deer want to move through right there. They really want to take this course right here and come down through, which would be just a little too far of a shot from the cedar tree right on the edge of the road. So if I can get these deer to pinch over and come any closer over here, I'm hoping that this is going to help some. And if that's not enough, then I'm going to continue it. I'm going to start it back up here, and I'm probably going to take it to about where this trail is. And even if that trail bumped over to right here, now they're probably really close to being within range of my bow. This is probably never going to be a gun stand down here, but I am going to come down. I can come right out of the house, come right down the road here. Once I've got enough screen down this edge, I can come right down the road and crawl right up this tree. And you can see, go back just a little bit here so you can see it, but you've got a main travel route right through here underneath these two mulberries, and another one right here. And my intentions are to hang a mock scrape from this tree right here. Also, right up here, about 5 feet off the road, I'm going to come in just on what would be on this back side of these walnuts here, and there's going to be a line of miscanthus. I've already planted it, but I don't know as if it outcompeted, or if it didn't get outcompeted by the grass down here last year. So my plan is, instead of taking a rhizome and stuffing it in the ground, my plan is to take like a triple rhizome, something that's a couple years old, and plug that in down here, so that I've got something that's going to outcompete the grass, because I've only got one miscanthus stalk down there that I know survived, and I planted from the corner of the property all the way down to here, and I can't find any of it, so, other than one. So but yeah, that's the plan, is to get a tree stand right here, right off the road. Just trim up a few limbs out of this guy right in here, and then overlooking that right down there. So yeah, let's jump in here. I'll show you guys some old cow pasture here. Come on, you heathen. So this all out here had cattle up into it a year ago. Another part of this setup for this cedar tree here behind me is I got these limbs right here that I'd like to drop a scrape on, or a scrape vine on, and bring them right down here and get them to cross right down here in this corner. Also, depending on the wind, I can get a tree stand in that tree right there, and I was thinking about opening this fence, a little gap right here, to get these deer moving through here as well, and or leaving the fence, possibly even leaving it and having the gap over there, and then having the gap right there, and then putting maybe a barricade of some kind right here, maybe along the edge of the road, so the deer aren't crossing here, but maybe they feel safe hitting a scrape under these limbs here. So you might be able to see this maybe on the drone footage a little better, but right here in line with this power pole is some high ground, and I think I'm going to use that high ground as well, I say it's high ground, it's like a kind of a little bit of a hill rise right there. Probably really hard for you guys to see it even on the drone footage, but the intention is to put cover there, maybe, like I said, switchgrass, miscanthus, evergreens, you know, native growth in there, right there, and then around it here, this is where my long food plot is actually going to move through and connect back to the back. She's going to come in right here, coming from the house and the barns, come right down to about right where we're standing, right in here, and it's going to loop around, and then it's going to follow this little patch of woods that we'll go look at in a second. It's going to go follow that and loop right around that woods, okay, and head on back. And I was measuring this up the other day, and when I get this completed, this food plot that I'm going to lay in here, a long winding trail food plot, is going to be a little over 700 yards long, and the idea is to make it, you know, somewhere about, you know, somewhere in that 20 to 30 foot wide, you know, no more than 10 yards wide. So down here, this is the other little part of woods on this property. We'll take a look at it. Got walnut trees in it, buckeye trees, hickory trees, a few oaks, red oaks. I'm sure there's some other stuff growing down in here, but there's really not much. You know, there's some decent walnuts that someday will make a timber tree. I'm not gonna mess with them, but pretty much everything else is fair game as far as doing some cuttings. And I think the vast majority of everything that you're seeing down in here, we'll cross this fence real quick, the vast majority of all the stuff you're seeing down here is going to end up getting laid down, whether it's just felled down and left on its side, or hinge cut. Like, you know, a lot of this stuff is just small stuff. A lot of buckeye trees in here, not really good for much of anything. I'm just going to hinge them up. A lot of them are getting hinged, a lot of them get felled. Some of this stuff in here, this little pocket, I'll go ahead and fell it, and I'll take the tops and I'll drag them out and into this old cow pasture, and just kind of let the tops do their thing out there, creating a little cover, a little bit of diversity, a place for the birds to land on, deposit some seeds, get some native berries growing. So come back out here. So that food plot's going to come out here. These trees here right on the edge are going to end up hinged out here into where we're walking now. And then that food plot will wind right around in here and probably come right around in here, maybe not right up to you know, not right up to that tree, but, you know, coming right around it here, and end up coming down in here, curving off and going down in there, little cattle pond down there, curving off and going back there towards where the old blind is, and then curving and wrapping back around and hooking back into itself. So probably a little hard to understand, hard for me to really point it out to you guys, but give me another year. Let me get this let me get all this, you know, old cow pasture right here converted into habitat, and I think you'll see it by the fall. You'll see the food plot, you'll see the marked out areas where I'm gonna have put you know, miscanthus, evergreen, switchgrass, just kind of the trifecta of thermal cover, and then with a winding green food plot going out here. Let's walk down here, check this out. This is by far the biggest tree on the whole property. Was a big old beautiful oak tree. A storm came in and knocked it down, ripped this entire half of this tree right off. I tried to convince my dad not to cut it up and to leave it. It was kind of cool. It was basically hinged off the side of this like a big old hinge cut. But yeah, it just ripped it in half. But you can see all the regrowth. I mean, it's still alive. I'm gonna get a scrape limb hung out over here. I gotta get these bigger pieces cleaned up and moved out of the way. But got a little pond down here. You can get a scrape limb going, get an arborvitae planted, and then get a tree stand up in this guy right here. And this is where the deer want to move through anyway. You can see, you might be able to see the deer trail there. Definitely, probably see it right here where it goes this way, and then where it cuts off and goes right up what will be right under these limbs right here. Hang a vine from those, and yeah, the deer are already going and crossing the fence right there. I just guarantee them to do that if we put a scrape limb out there. But yeah, this pond here, little cattle pond, I'm gonna come up here where the dog's at and shallow that out a little bit, make the bank less steep, I guess I should say. Kind of scrape this area out so the deer feel comfortable in drinking, kind of like that back edge right there. Kind of comes right to the water's edge. So I'm gonna kind of shallow, less steepen this up right here, and get that going. But yeah, this out here, this was all cattle pasture. Last year at this time there was a group of cattle out here feeding, and now it's being converted into habitat. So that's pretty much the whole area, guys. Well, we'll take one more look at one more thing up here. I have one more future tree stand setup going up here. It's going to be right up close to the house. Try to get these deer right up here. Bring some good food up here for them. Of course, there'll be an arborvitae, there'll be a scrape vine. So the food plot, what I'm going to call my food plot trail system, is actually going to end up starting right in here somewhere. Come over from the house and barns here, drive the tractor in right here, and it'll start right here and head this way. all this wood will get scraped up and cleaned up here before I get to habitatting out here. But so the thoughts is here, getting a stand in one of these two trees right here, one of these back trees closest to the house, so I can come right across here, right across the yard, and right up in these trees. And then there's a couple of 3 trees right here that are going to be kind of like your cover trees. You know, they're going to sit in between you, and then these couple trees out here is where my scrape limbs are going. And right where we're walking is basically going to be where the food plot's going to be, the food plot trail. It's going to come right through here. And right under this limb here, right under this guy right here. And there's, you know, there's my tree right there, or possibly this one right here. Cut a few of these branches out in this area right in here, and 20-yard shot right here. Now it's super close to the house, super close to the barn, but once again, we're going to use miscanthus. I'm going to use evergreens, maybe even a strip of switchgrass on the back side of those trees there, and then the food is going to come in right through here, right where we're at. And wrap right down there to the corner. That's the cedar down there in the corner. The food will wrap right down there and then turn right back around, and the food's going to come right back up here. How well you can see the power pole there, but where the power pole's at, that's going to be a strip of cover right through here. So there's going to be food up here, a strip of you know, cover, and then food down along the edge, and then that food pot trail is going to run all the way back, snake around all the way to the back part of the property. It'll end up being a little over 700 yards long. A little over 700 yards long by the time I'm finished, and somewhere about 20 to 30 feet wide. So it should be about right in there, real close to about an acre and a half of food in one food plot trail. And that's going to be my main. It's going to be my main source of green food out here on the farm. Is in that trail right there. So it's not much now, guys, but I'll give it a little bit of time. We'll get that changed. So I appreciate you guys following along with me, and until next time.